All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to another episode of Off the Wall. We're bringing the new year here, 2020, and we're blowing up this year. We're blowing up this year, and here we have the UK assassin himself, Mr. VideoGamezYo. How are you doing, brother?
Stop it, man. I'm no assassin, but I'm doing well.
Killing everybody, assassinating left and right, all over the place. He's killing people. All right, well, let's talk a little bit about you because I remember way back when CGL was starting getting into Mortal Kombat, and I was looking as a spectator at the scene, and somebody who wasn't normally into fighting games, looking from the outside in. And I remember people like Nips telling me like, oh yeah, check this VideoGamezYo out, he's pretty good. And I followed you on Twitter, and then I went on YouTube and I saw a couple stuff, and I was like, oh, this guy's really good, like it's dope. And then I learned like little by little, I've been doing my research here and there, and biding my time until we get an interview. And then so there's a lot of interesting things that I want to talk to you about. But before we do all of that stuff, we're going to go into what we normally do here in Off the Wall, which is we're going to talk about your origin story. Where does VideoGamezYo come from, and what made him get into Mortal Kombat and the fighting game scene? So talk to us a little bit about the beginning, about how you get into gaming and fighting games and stuff like that.
Um, that's a good question. I'd say it started like a long time ago. I started playing fighting games when I was like really young, so maybe like 6 or 7 years old, I think. I started off with Tekken, by far my favorite game. If anyone hasn't played Tekken, play it. It's amazing. One of the best games I've ever played. I owe a lot to Tekken, honestly, because I feel like Tekken helps you become a good fundamental fighting game player. And I'm glad I had a Tekken base, because I feel like if I didn't, I wouldn't be as good as I am at this game.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
so yeah, I started out playing Tekken. I've been playing that since I was 6, as I said. And then I got into MK around MKX. I did play MK9, but I was too young. My mum didn't let me play it. Rip. But yeah, MKX, I started getting like a bit more competitive. And then when MK11 came out, I was like, okay, I want to get really good at this game. And so I was just an online warrior for ages. And then one of the UK commentators, Ketchup, if anyone knows who that is, he's quite big. He said, yo, there's a local going on in London. Do you want to go to it? I'm like, I'm a bit nervous, obviously, because that's what's holding me back for the most part. But I'm like, okay, screw it, I'll go. I got second place. I'm like, okay, I can compete.
Yeah.
And then I started going to tournaments after that. And then, yeah, I got sponsored, and here I am. It's been quite a short time span, really. It's been pretty surreal, to be honest.
Oh, absolutely. And like, so there's a lot going on. There's a lot of stuff to dissect real quick, because so first of all, I want to talk to you about Tekken, because I feel like that's something that for me, somebody who isn't naturally into fighting games, I've always touched fighting games in the past. Like I used to personally, since I'm a comic book fan, I used to love Injustice, right? And obviously same makers from Mortal Kombat, so I used to love playing Injustice. I'm terrible at fighting games, mind you. I'm terrible. If anybody saw my TwitchCon stream of me trying to play Super Smash Brothers, they would know that I'm a pretty bad fighting game player. But
Smash is hard, though. I'll give you that.
Smash is hard. Like there's plus I was playing on the I don't know. I feel like the controller was half the battle, because it was hard to. Anyways, that's another story. But I feel like it's hard. But I feel like I want you to elaborate a little bit more on the Tekken thing, because I feel like that might be like maybe not a well-known secret in the community of fighting games, because I know a lot of people who or are into fighting games probably see Tekken as like a really good base and foundation for fighting games. But for you, what was it about Tekken that allowed you to be better at the foundation of fighting games?
Um, I feel like Tekken relies a lot on neutral and fundamentals, where like other fighting games don't really do that. They have other mechanics, like uh, Mortal Kombat will have X-rays, armored moves, stuff like that. Tekken has none of that. Like before Tekken 7, there was no moves that would help you in that regard. Like no armor, no fatal blow stuff. They have rage drives and rage arts now, but that didn't used to be in the game. Like it was just fundamentals and neutral back then. So you winning in Tekken kind of relied more on your ability as a player rather than external mechanics helping you out. Um, Obviously there was characters that had cheese, obviously, that could just do stupid things
Right.
to you and it'd be like you'd lose. But those characters that had cheese were still honest, you know. Like it's hard to explain. I think just Tekken as a game is more honest, or it was. Now it's got a bit less honest with the addition of rage drives, rage arts, and power crushes and whatnot. But I feel like it's a very honest game. So if you come from Tekken, you'll know how to play in that like honest, you know, fundamentally strong, neutral heavy game, and that carries over to all fighting games pretty much. You know, that's just a part of the fighting games in general. So yeah.
Right, right. No, yeah, definitely for sure. And I think that's a cool way for people to maybe get introduced to the fighting games if they wanted to, right? If they wanted to do a little more of the pro scene, or even try to, and they don't know, like if they're young or something, maybe that's a good way to, a good starting point. Let's talk about a little bit of where you started as far as like becoming known online. A lot of people know you as an online warrior from the beginning, before you started having some of these LAN tournaments and runs that you've gotten. So
Mm-hmm.
you know, what was some of those early days online for you? I mean, I know that you know, Mortal Kombat Online is a different beast from LAN tournaments, right? Because LAN
Yes.
tournaments, you have to be, there's more honesty in LAN tournaments because there's a lot less of lag and so much other things that allow you to be a little more precise. But as far as like online tournaments, what allowed you to be, when did you start seeing yourself being more than just like, okay, maybe I am pretty decent? Like, was it just the fact that you just kept winning, or was it something where you just saw yourself bit better than most of the competition? How did you gauge online versus like LAN?
That's a good question. Okay, so as you said, I started out online. I just played ranked. I didn't record anything, you know, I didn't stream, I didn't make YouTube videos or anything like that. And then I started getting like a lot of messages saying, "Oh, you're really good. You should compete. You're really good. You should compete." And I was like, "Okay," you know, I was still really nervous, of course, because even like to compete in online tournaments, I was just really nervous. My nerves hold me back quite a lot. Um, but then there was a YouTube video I saw, and it was titled "Best Shao Kahn in the World." I'm like, hold
Mm.
up, I play Shao Kahn. Let's click on this. Guess who it was? It was me. And then I made a comment on that video. That comment got like 1K likes, and everyone was like, "You should start making YouTube videos." So I did. And then yeah, I kept recording, and people just kept calling me godlike, and I was like, okay, maybe I should take this to the next level. So obviously, I went to my first local, got second. I kept going to more tournaments, got top 8 at all of those, and then I got sponsored. Went to ECT, my first American major, and did really well. So I think I owe a lot to the fans for my, you know, for me to start competing, because as I said, my confidence is probably the thing that holds me back the most. Even now, you know, I'm sponsored, but still, I'd say that I get really nervous and my confidence holds me back. But with fan support, I think it's taken me a long way. So I have a lot to thank people for that.
Oh, for sure. And you know, I think that's a really interesting part of like the evolution as you as a player transitioning into some of the pro play and the competitions and LAN and stuff like that. You know, I've always found it fascinating when people dedicate so much time to one specific character. You know, I tend to do that a lot in other games. You know, I play a lot of Overwatch. I do that in Overwatch just because I feel like you, in any game, I feel like you do that for a specific reason, to just master a certain character, right?
Mm-hmm.
For you, for Shao Kahn, a lot of people before, you know, during your time as Shao Kahn, like just playing the character and mastering it, a lot of people were mentioning how terrible the character was, right? During a lot of iterations between metas and all of that stuff, people were saying that it's probably one of the worst characters. How did you
Mm-hmm.
cope with trying to be better at some of the inherent flaws that the character has? So how did you best some situations where people are like, "Oh, this is an auto win because I'm going against a Shao Kahn"?
Um, I think the fact that people kept saying that he sucked and he was the worst fueled me in a way, because, and plus he was like my favorite character when the game came out. I remember seeing the intro or the trailer where he like sat in a throne. I'm like, yep, I'm playing Shao Kahn because of that one like 5 second clip. I'm like, I'm maining him. And at the start of the game, I kind of struggled to play him. Like I was losing a lot, and I thought it was because I sucked. But little did I know that the character was trash. But yeah, I just thought it was me. So I dedicated a lot of time to him in the lab. I was like, how can I start winning? So I developed my own strategy, and I practiced a lot. I labbed a lot of matchups, and I started to win more often. And I feel like, again, the people that kept telling me, oh, the character's trash, drop him, the character's trash, that made me want to like really grind him out and say, okay, he may be trash, but with work and effort, you can obviously make any character work, which I still think is true. You know, no matter how trash a character is, I think everyone in MK11 is viable, and not just MK, every fighting game. The worst characters, if you put enough time into them, can do some damage, even to the best characters in the game. Matchups do matter, but I feel like player skill is much more important, to be honest.
I mean, for sure. And I think you're one of those people who makes that reason, you know, a big thing, because a lot of people see these characters and they're like, oh, you know, this character can't do this, so I'm obviously going to pick something that can counter it or whatever. So was there any time where you doubted playing Shao Kahn in a tournament setting where you were like, okay, I might not win this just purely off the fact that I'm playing Shao Kahn? Like, or was it always like, no, I just have to, you know, do things correctly?
That's happened once, and it happened at Celtic Throwdown when I went against Dragon, because he plays Cetrion and it's Dragon. So I was like, yeah, I'm probably gonna. He double eliminated me at that tournament. I only lost to him, so
yeah.
And I didn't win a single game, so it's like, yeah, I kind of knew going into it that it was going to be pretty trash, because both the characters I play get a 7-3 by Cetrion. So it's like, yeah, it was looking pretty dire from the second I saw I was playing Dragon. But apart from then, I think, because me as a player, I think I'm very hard on myself to the point where I won't blame a matchup a lot of the time. I'll just be like, oh, okay, I've probably done something wrong here, so that's why I lost. But I'd say against Dragon, that's the only time I've had that. And that, not really.
And do you think that at some point you are looking like you've obviously gotten to the point where for a lot of people, in a lot of people's minds, you are probably the best Shao Kahn player right now, like out there. So for your money, do you think that like should you keep doing it, or at this point maybe you should do another character as well so that you can master another character? Or are you just hedging your bet on Shao Kahn as far as your pro career for Mortal Kombat is going?
I mean, it's kind of a meme right now. Me, oh, have you dropped Shao Kahn? Oh, you dropped Shao Kahn. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
But I think for the most part, right, if he remains as the worst character in the game, a one-off, which he is, he's right there. I think it's wise for me to pick up other characters, you know, as I'm a competitive player.
Right.
The main objective is to win, of course. You know, I want to please the crowd because that's what I love doing. But the main objective at the end of the day is to win. So I feel like picking up other characters is the smart choice. But I will always play Shao. I'm never going to like drop him. I can't. He's my boy. Can't drop him. No.
Right. No, I feel you. I feel that sometimes when I play characters that don't fit a meta, but I love the character, I'll continue to play them, you know, reluctantly, because I know that even though I'm better at that character, it's not the meta, and sometimes like I'll feel bad about it, but I'll still do it.
Yeah,
so
I feel exactly what you're saying.
Right. I get it because I'm such a fan of the character, so I totally understand. Plus there's moments, like there's fighting game moments that, you know, like before I started watching Mortal Kombat, when Injustice 2 was bigger, I remember I'm such a huge fan of the Flash, like as a character, not just as a video game character, but as a like comic book character, right? So when I saw people play the Flash, I remember seeing a documentary about Injustice, and somebody was saying how, oh, Flash was one of the worst characters, and I think Honeybee came out of nowhere, and then he started destroying people with Flash, and I was like, oh, that's awesome. Like, there's somebody who took a character who wasn't that great and made it really good and started winning. And I feel like the you can make the same type of comparisons with yourself, where you took a character where nobody liked and you started destroying people with it. So I think that's a great thing to see. It's like an underdog moment for different characters. I want to talk to you a little bit about CGL, because CGL has had such a unique impact on the Mortal Kombat scene, both online and in LANs, and obviously picking up tournaments and your relationship with them as well. But let's go to the beginning, about how you got introduced to CGL and picked up as a pro player. Talk to me about those early moments for that, and how impactful it was for you as a player.
Well, I think they first reached out to me when I finished Celtic. I got fourth at Celtic Throwdown, and then shortly after that, I got Nips reached out to me, and having already seen the team that he had put together, it was like, wow, because I was getting a lot of different offers from different sponsors, and I was like, okay, let me just survey my options. But then Nips reached out to me. I'm like, oh, okay, because I already saw the team he had together. So I was like, wow, that really hit me, because when he reached out to me, I was like, wow, I'm actually considered quite a good player, even though I'd not been to that many events. That was my first ever major, and I got fourth.
Which, by the way, was a unique thing, right? Because like, I think I think when the first time I heard about you, everybody kept comparing you to me for like Ninja Killer. Be like, oh, Ninja Killer kind of did the same thing, where his first tournament, he got top 4 or whatever, and then they were saying the same thing about you. Oh, like this guy, he's doing the same thing over in the UK, and that was was that comparison. Did you always see that comparison as a valid comparison?
Yes, I mean, it flattered me, to be honest. Being
Right.
compared to Ninja Killer, I was like, damn, okay, I'm doing something right.
Right.
But yeah, I think we do share a lot of similarities, which is why it's so cool to be a teammate with him, to be honest, because
right.
We both come from Tekken, we both are relatively new to the competing, and we've both done really well when we started competing. So it's good to have him like with me on my team.
Right. And it's a cool contrast, because you'll see pictures and you'll see you smiling and him not smiling most of the time. So it's like a good and bad version of the two different players. It's like one person is like mean mugging and the other one smiling.
I think Ninja's just used to winning by this point, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, for sure. So okay, now you spoke a little bit about how Nips reached out and stuff like that. Tell me a little bit about the relationship with Nips. How has he been? Because he kind of took over. I remember when CGO was doing a lot of stuff, and Nips would always have his hand in different things throughout CGO. But as soon as Mortal Kombat became like a little bit bigger within the CGL community, he got really involved. What has been your involvement with him, and how do you see that relationship with him as far as like a player and somebody who manages?
I feel like Nips he's just a really like good leader figure. He helps me a lot with decisions I'm making in terms of me as a player, what decisions I have to make in regards to the game, in regards to, content creation, in regards to just having a good mindset. I think that's something Nips is really good at. He helps me so much, really. And especially when he was like reaching out to me for the first time, he gave me a lot of good advice about, looking for sponsors, what I should be looking for, how to approach becoming a competitive player. I think he's really good at doing that and putting me in the right frame of mind to move forward as a professional player. In regards to like over time, our relationship's been like really, really good. Apart from me being late to a few Discord meetings, which I will hold my hands up to because I'm trash at being punctual. Apart from that, I think, it's been really, really good. And he's given me a lot of good and very useful advice, which I have taken and tried to implement into myself and my career as a pro player. So I have a lot to thank him for in that regard, and I'm sure that moving forward we'll have a lot more useful talks, and I'll get a lot more useful stuff from him because he's very knowledgeable on this. Surprisingly as well, because he's not been in the scene for that long. It's quite
Right.
impressive that he knows so much.
Yeah, and I remember because I used to play. I mean, I still do from time to time when he's got a moment. But I remember playing Overwatch with Nips, and Nips always was like, I remember him as an Overwatch player. And then when the Mortal Kombat scene started to grow, and he saw an opportunity to branch console gaming league into Mortal Kombat. I saw him like basically just be like, hey, like I saw Nips like Mortal Kombat hat, a shirt, like his shoes were Mortal Kombat. Like he was repping Mortal Kombat all over the place just because I think he kind of fell in love with the scene a little bit. And I mean, how could you not too? Because as somebody who was also an outsider, I see that Mortal Kombat community, and it feels for a game that has brutalities and so much violence, it feels like such a wholesome scene, like in comparison to other scenes,
Yeah,
like in comparison
it's
to like
amazing.
Call of Duty or some of the other first person shooters where there could be a lot of toxicity in a lot of these games like that. And it seems like Mortal Kombat players, not that there isn't any toxicity, but like there's seems like a lot less. Like it seems like people are always really nice to each other. Oh, you beat me, here's a handshake, like like it
Yeah, I
seems
get what you
very
mean.
nice, right? So
But
I
I feel like
yeah,
it's like in every game there's going to be toxicity.
right.
Like people are going to get angry. People are going to get butthurt over losing. Like it happens. But I feel like the FGC, specifically the NRS, they're just really nice people. Nice to be around, respectful of each other. If you get rinsed in a set, they'll be like, "Okay, good game, bro." They're not going to be like, "Wow, you're so rubbish. You use a cheap character. Oh, I hate you." No, that happens like 1% of the time. The other 99%, it's just good, honest, you know, sportsman-like behavior, which is a good thing. I'm really happy that the NRS scene is like this, and that's why I'm so happy to be a part of it. I just hope it keeps growing, to be honest, because it's a really nice place to be, and it makes sense why Nips likes it so much because it's just so nice.
Absolutely. And here's another thing about it is that there's very few scenes that kind of understand, like, okay, so a lot of first person shooters, a lot of times people are toxic because like, oh, I shoot you, you shoot me back, and whoever shoots each other first wins pretty much. And so a lot of people get toxic because they're like, you're not good, you're bad, you just happen to get me first, or you whatever the case may be. But it seems like in the fighting game community, especially Mortal Kombat, I've seen this a lot in Mortal Kombat, is that people who best you in a best of 3, or they beat you or whatever, they always see that as an opportunity to get better, right? You're competing against somebody who bested you in 3 rounds, and you're just like, oh man, I just, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna get better and I'm gonna go against him, and maybe I'll become friends with him and we'll lab together and we'll go, and like it becomes like a thing about just getting better. And that's very, a lot of times that's unseen in other esports and stuff like that. So it's really cool to see as far as like the fighting game community. um
Absolutely.
I want to talk about East Coast Throwdown. This is probably the first opportunity that I was able to actually watch a complete tournament on Twitch where it was just Mortal Kombat, right? Before that, I hadn't really got into the Mortal Kombat tournament settings. I hadn't watched. I had watched like clips on YouTube and stuff like that. But this one, I was like, I'm gonna watch this. Like, I want to watch the whole thing. And a few really great tidbits that of information that I got from Nips was, he was telling me that you had a lot of flight issues coming into NA that didn't allow you to perform as maybe
I
you
don't
had
even want to think
wanted to.
about it.
But tell me the experiences that you had with that. Like tell us from the beginning, like what happened, how, and because you ended up doing a lot of stuff, you ended up doing really well in pools. Like, so tell us a little bit about how that came to be, that whole story.
Okay, well, just thinking about it gives me nightmares. Anyway, so I set off from London. So I get my flight from London and I go to Geneva in Switzerland. And then I'm supposed to get a flight to Canada. And then when I get to the flight desk, they're like, "Oh, wait, hold. Did you have your ETA?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm supposed to have one of those." And it had to. I think I remember doing it, but it hadn't been like, what's the word? Like, it hadn't gone through yet, so I couldn't actually fly. So they said, "Okay, you're gonna have to fly tomorrow because there's no more planes today." I'm like, "Oh dear, I'm gonna miss it." And then I was talking to Nips, and he's like, "Okay, we can get you to fly out tomorrow morning, but you're gonna get there like during ECT." I'm like, you know what? I might as well go there. I don't want to miss my first event under CGI.
Right.
So I'm like, screw it. So then I had to spend the entire day in an airport, pretty much. I did get a hotel, but I didn't get one for long. It was like, yeah, I pretty much spent the whole day in the airport just walking around Switzerland. And then I flew in the morning. And then when I landed, I got a taxi straight to the venue. And then I had like an hour break until my pool started. And bear in mind, I had zero sleep this whole time. So yeah, I played my pool on 0 hours sleep. I destroyed my pool somehow. I don't know how. Using Shao Kahn of all characters. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but I did it. Um, and yeah, it was a really weird experience, to be honest. For my first American major, everything went wrong. So
But you did considerably well, like considering the circumstances. You did pretty well, right? I mean, would you not say?
I'm very happy with how I did. Yeah, 13th place in my first American major is pretty good. I mean, I was getting memes saying, "Oh, look, you do well in the UK, but once you get on American soil, we teach you what's up." I'm like, fair enough, you did. I lost. I will take my loss gracefully, but I mean, I met all the people I've always wanted to meet. I met the boy Nips, of course. I met my CGL teammates for the first time. It was amazing. I feel like the tournament experience, like just meeting people, is arguably better than the playing part because you're in like an event with so many like-minded people who like the same thing as you and enjoy the same things that you do. It's just like really, really nice to be around that. Plus, the hype's always good. I try to deliver, but
Right,
I
right.
mean,
I mean, the
I
crowd
think a lot
too.
of
The
the
crowd's probably the
exactly
yeah.
the
That's a
crowd
huge
helps me a
difference.
lot. Yeah,
Yeah,
when I hear
absolutely.
the crowd behind me when I'm playing, it's like, yeah, it rears me on to do much better. So I really like the tournament environment, definitely. But ECT was definitely an experience. I'll say that. It was an experience, and I'm not sure I'll forget it for a while. It was really good.
Well, here's a question that I always thought was interesting about these situations where you're performing in front of a crowd as far as esports go. Has there any chance like been a situation where you're playing and you're in a situation where you're not doing well, but the crowd makes you better as far as like, okay, well they pick you back up and you start doing better. Has there ever been a shift in the game due to the crowd's participation?
Yes. At Celtic, I remember I was fighting Foxy. Uh, and previously, I'd lost to Foxy every time in tournament. So I lost to him at my first local critical combat. I lost to him at Revolver. I got second place both of those times because of him. And at versus fighting, no, I didn't play him there. But I lost both previous two times. I lost to Foxy. So at Celtic, I go 2-0 up, and I'm like, okay, I'm doing all right. I got this. Then he comes 2 games back on the trot. I'm like, okay. So then I'd like give myself time to think. And then I switch my character. I go to Jax, and then every time I hit him, the crowd is going making like noise behind me every time I hit him with something, and I'm like feeling myself because of it. I'm like, yeah, this is like it's really it's tough to explain. It like it gives you like an adrenaline boost, I think,
Right.
because if they're behind you, you just don't want to disappoint them. Because
Sure.
like if you lose, they're going to be like, damn, he lost.
Right. We were behind him and he lost.
So I want to please them. I want to make them win.
Right.
So yeah, I feel like I just like crowd pleasing, to be honest. I just like creating hype moments for the crowd. I did plenty of that at Celtic, which is why I think people liked me at the event so much. But I feel like, as you say, yeah, the crowd can definitely help you switch your game plan and help you get better because you just want to please them. You know, the crowd is what makes events events. If there was no crowd, the event wouldn't be as good as it is. So I
Oh,
feel like
absolutely.
they're like the main thing that helped me, get better. Obviously I'm thinking about stuff as well, but like the crowd do help a lot, I must say.
Oh, for sure, for sure. By the way, just a break in the moment. Trigo7 sub, tier 1 sub. Thank you so much. I appreciate that sub. Thank you for the support. All right, so let's talk a little bit about current situations. All right, so we're seeing you. You're headed towards the last chance qualifier. Right. So this is the ultimate opportunity for people who haven't been able to make it for the final to be able to qualify. Right. It's right in the name, last chance qualifier. Right. So for you, what kind of things do you think are what are you prepping for this? Like what situations do you see anticipating? How are you going to feel like you do better here than in other tournaments? Because obviously you want to get into the the final tournament.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thing about last chance qualifier is it's gonna be a bloodbath. Everyone who didn't qualify is gonna be there, and those people are pretty good. The last chance qualifiers are always like this. So pretty much, I'm preparing for everything because I have no idea what's going to be there. Obviously, I have some idea of my competition. Combat, Splash, Gur, people like that, known names. But I feel like it's the people that you don't know that can cause the most upsets because they can bring out something you've never seen before, and you're like, oh damn! And it's first to two, at least that's what we know. And a lot can happen in a first to two setting. You could get rinsed really quickly, and you're like, wow, I didn't even know what happened. And I'm in losers. So it's like,
Yeah.
And then in losers, you get 0 and 2, you're like, oh wow, I'm out of the tournament. So you need to be on your toes pretty much. And I'm focusing on learning as much as I can in the space of time that I have. And also, as you brought up earlier, character selection. I have a few things up my sleeve, obviously, that I'm going to try and bring out at LCQ because, being unpredictable myself is something that will help me because, people that are going to be watching me, looking at what characters I play, like trying to take data on me. If I have something they've never seen before, it's like, oh, I wasn't expecting this, and it will catch them off guard. And obviously, that'll be in my full corner. I'll have an advantage because of that. So I think for the most part, I'm just trying to make sure that nothing surprises me pretty much, lab as much as I can and bring new stuff to the table that people don't expect from me. And I think I'll do pretty well. Fingers crossed anyway.
Now you're going with some other fellow CGL players as well that you're going to be competing with some other CGL players. Is there something inherently good about being able to, like, do you practice with some of the CGL players, or do you want to be like, no, I'm gonna keep a few things up my sleeve, I don't want to show anything? Like, how what is your practice regimen with other people? Do you try to do you have lab partners that you consistently go to, or do you think, hey, listen, I think I'm gonna go against some of these players, why not go against some of the players that are gonna be in the competition? How does that work for you in this perspective?
In terms of my teammates, I play a few of them quite a lot. There are some I don't play as much as the others, but yeah, I play my teammates quite often. And I feel like since they're my teammates, and yeah, I'm going to be playing against them, there are a few that are going to be there that are obviously going to be competing against me for finals. But I feel like some of them, or most of them, in fact, I can just play however I want because realistically, there's a long time from now until LCQ. So if they're going to get data on me, say they find that I have a habit now, they're not going to remember that for like in 2 months, And I feel like as well, there's a lot more to, knowing a player's tendencies than to just see them do stuff and be like, yeah, okay, he does that. There's a lot more to it. Plus, you've got character variety, you've got, it being offline rather than online. So that makes it differ a lot. You've also got chance, There's a lot of games decided by chance, some random stupidness happening so that you lose. And it's like, oh,
Right.
that can't be helped, That's just something that happened on the day. It wasn't my day, I lost. So I feel like, keeping secrets, yes. Of course, I have a few secrets up my sleeve. But regardless, I feel like playing my teammates, I obviously want to help them get better and in the best shape that they can be for LCQ. But yeah, I think as well, it's important to understand that, you know, at the end of the day, it's a tournament. You've got to do your best. You've got to bring out your biggest guns. And even if they are your teammates, you've got to bop them. I mean, I'm not gonna, get Slayer, for example, in my tournament, in my path, and he's my teammate. But I'm not gonna be like, oh, here's Slayer, here's a win. No, mate, you're getting 2-0 if I have the chance. I'm sorry.
Right. Right. No, exactly. I mean, it's a tournament. That's how it is. That's how it's supposed to be, right? So you mentioned Slayer, but is there anybody in the competition that you have your eye on, as in like, oh man, if I go against this person, it's gonna be tough because I know how I either know how they operate, or they have, or I know that they're gonna be tough opponent to go against. Do you have your eye on anybody as like, this is gonna be a steep, hill to climb, but it's possible?
Um, I'd say the main two I'm looking at right now are Combat and Splash. Apart from those two, I don't want to say I'm comfortable. Kind of.
But it's even for you.
Apart from, yes, I'd say it's even. But Combat and Splash, I'd say, are the main two I'm looking out for because I know that they're really talented and they're the ones that have competed and done consistently well in the tournaments that they have entered. Like Splash got 2 top 8s in a row. Combat's got multiple top 8s. He just didn't attend some events, and that's why he didn't qualify. Like, he was really close. So I know that they had the potential to qualify. They just didn't have the means to do so. So I know they're probably finals worthy. That's why I'm so like, uh, what's the word? Like, I'm ready for them. Is it in the sense that I know what they can do, so I'm going to try and practice and be prepared for those two specifically more than any other people, because I know what they're capable of.
Right, right. So speaking of specific people, now this doesn't have to be the LCQ, but what are some of your, what are some of your favorite players in the scene right now for the for the fighting game esport? Like, or I mean, it could be specific to Mortal Kombat, but it could also be, in general for the fighting games. Like, do you have people that you've met or that you think just from their ability that they're cool? Who are some of your favorite players in the scene right now?
I'm gonna sound really biased, but Ninja Killer, obviously. I
Right.
mean, I think that man is a god. He's so good. Like, it's actually horrible how good he is. I'm jealous sometimes. I know I can get to that point, but he's just so good, and he helps me a lot. When I play him, he helps me out. He teaches me a lot of stuff. Um, so I'm blessed that he's my teammate. I really like his mentality. He always goes into things thinking he's going to win, which I like. He has a
Right.
lot of confidence about himself. His decision making is amazing. His character selection is really good. So I admire him for that. Um, Katana Prime as well. I look up to him quite a lot. He's been a staple in the NRS scene for ages now. He's also given me a lot of good advice. He's helped me through a lot of stuff. And yeah, I think he's just a good example to follow since he's been playing for so long and he knows how to, approach the whole tournament setting. Deoxys also I'm a big fan of. Foxy as well, since he's been you know holding the UK flag for so long and whipping ass in tournaments for ages. So yeah, I look up to Foxy a lot as well. Dizzy. The list goes on, really. There are so many people that I like, but those guys specifically because they've helped me so much and I've learned a lot from them, I think.
Nice, nice. All right, so here's one of the, we're gonna be rounding up here soon, but what are your plans for 2020? And this could be a general thing, like about what you plan to do, or what specifically do you know? Because I know that a lot of people have told me, including Nips. I think Nips has probably harped on this the most for me, but he's always stressing about how personality wise you have so much to offer. I think he often compares your personality with other personalities that are high up there too. A lot of the commentators, even Destroyer, who I've interviewed before, who I think Destroyer is one of those people who I love. I would love to just hang out with him because he seems like a cool person. And people
I
have said
forgot
this.
to say him on my list of players as well. He's amazing.
Right, and so players like that, they're far between. Like I've talked to a lot of people You know, I've talked to Too Easy, Cam is Black. You know, I've talked to Destroyer. You know, I've talked to quite a few people, and you know, a lot of people have mentioned personality wise, and people often mention you as far as personality. Do you, what do you think you can be doing in 2020 to kind of push that? What are some of your goals for this year, um, as far as like what you can do in this?
I feel like, you know, in regards to people liking my personality, that's really nice to hear because for the most part, I'm just being myself, playing the game I love, you know, just doing work. And the fact that people enjoy that and people want to watch that is really nice to hear. Um, so I think for the most part, I'm just going to try and, you know, up my streaming game, you know, increase the quality of my streams, increase the quality of just all content across the board so that people are going to have a good time watching it, even more of a good time than they are having already from what they've said. You know, because the quality is always, you know, something that I look for. You know, as I kept doing YouTube and stuff and Twitch, I wanted to make sure that, you know, my equipment is getting better. You know, I've purchased new mics. I've got like I've edited my videos better than I used to because I just used to like just release stuff, not edit it at all. But now I kind of like care a lot about that because I want the viewer to have a good thing to watch. Um, but yeah, in terms of plans for 2020, I think I don't know, just keep doing what I'm doing. I guess you know I have a lot of events ahead of me, which I'm really excited to be going to. You know, more competing, more seeing different places around the world, seeing new people, meeting the people I'm friends with that aren't obviously not in the UK. You know, the Americans that I've you know looked up to for so long. So yeah, I think just keep doing what I'm doing and just keep my head in the game. Really, just focus on the objective, which is getting better, enjoying myself really with this game that I love so much.
Right. Is there anything specific about like placement in a tournament wise? Are you thriving to get a specific placement in maybe a specific tournament or somewhere where you're like, all right, I'm definitely getting, I'm gonna try to first place in this or this or that. Is that going through your mind, or are you just more like laid back in the sense that you're just gonna do your best?
I mean, I think for the most part, it is me being laid back and wanting to do my best, but I do want to get top eight at Evo. That's one thing I absolutely want to
Mm.
strive to get because I want me an Evo medal. Want it like badly. That's one of the things I've always wanted for so long, an Evo medal. Like, of course, I want to get top eight in everything, you know.
Right,
So I
right.
want to make top eight at CEO because I heard they have entrances at CEO. Like you walk out to music into like a ring. I want to do that. So I want to top eight at CEO and
Right.
Evo. I want an Evo medal, but like, of course, I'm going to be striving to do my best regardless of the tournament. Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. Well, that's good to hear. And I think that's awesome. I look forward to watching, you know, your rise even more. You know, I think that like I enjoyed watching you. I think I enjoyed, you know, I actually watched a couple of I think one particular interview that you did on YouTube, and I forgot who it was. It was another person from the UK, but you did an interview a while back, and I watched it, and it was really interesting. You guys did like sets in Mortal Kombat, and you guys were like hanging out, and you know, I think that's really cool to go from to see you rise and get better, and I just look forward to seeing a lot of your content that you put out more. And you know, I think your personality shines with that, as well as watching you compete in a lot of these tournaments. So I look forward to seeing that. So good luck on the last chance qualifier. I hope you qualify. I hope you do well
Thank
and
you.
get into the
I hope
game.
I do too.
Yeah, exactly. That would be
That's
great.
the aim.
Yeah, exactly.
Fantastic.
So before we head out, do you have any last words? Do you want to shout anybody out? The floor is yours.
I don't know. I put me on the spot now. I don't know. I just want to say thank you to everyone. Uh, Everyone's just been so nice to me getting into the scene. You know, like I was quite nervous to stream and like content create early on. That's why I didn't do it sooner. But for the most part, yeah, I just want to thank everyone for being so nice and welcoming to me. Uh, the NRSFGC is an amazing place, so I'm very grateful for that. Anyone? Do I want to shout out anyone? Just the whole of CGL, pretty much. They're all legends. I love every single one of them. especially Nips. He's helped me so much. He's shaped me into a better competitor, I think, and I owe a lot to him. And I'm looking forward to what we can do moving forward. So yeah, just thank you to everyone, and I really appreciate all that you've done for me so far. I hope I can keep going, to be honest.
Nice. I actually have one more question to finalize everything. And I've asked this to different people from the Mortal Kombat community because as somebody who's looking in, I always saw, I always saw Mortal Kombat and how much the scene grew and stuff like that. I was interested in like your thoughts about how CGL as an organization and a league has impacted the Mortal Kombat community, because I saw a vast difference of people who are really hungry in the Mortal Kombat scene, and then suddenly CGL comes through with more tournaments and more cash prizes and stuff like that. What's been your opinion on the impact that CGL has had on the Mortal Kombat scene?
I think they've done a world of good, to be honest. Like, not only do they help players that don't really have the means to get to places and compete, like me, especially because I'm in EU, which really helps and is really generous to them. They do a lot of tournaments which help players like me who are nervous to compete and they don't really have the means to travel to compete online and win, similar cash prizes. And so it's really competitive, and it creates a competitive environment in online. So it's really helping those sort of players find their feet when they're trying to compete, which is really, really good. I wish I had that getting in. Like when I started, I wanted to compete in like MKX, but as I told you, I didn't have really the confidence to do so. So I really wish things like CGL tournaments were around at that time, because I feel like they give a good base of people that are trying to get into competing. And obviously it's interesting because it's competitive and there's a lot on the line. So I feel like what they do is really, really important for fighting games. And it's just like, it helps, as I said, it helps people get into the scene that would normally not do it. Because, they'll be like, oh, look, there's a tournament. Why not? Because, it's online, you're at your home, you're just playing. And there's something on the line. So I think it's a really good thing what they're doing, and I hope they continue to do it.
Nice. Well, listen, that's great to hear. And again, wish you all the luck in the world. I'll be rooting for you and a lot of the other people, because I do like watching a lot of the other people as well. I'll be rooting for you. Hopefully you get into that last chance qualifier and be able to do well there and compete. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I'm looking forward to seeing all the things that I've seen you talk about, how you have stuff up your sleeve. I want to see the commentators look at the character selection and be like, what is he doing? Like I want to see something like that. So hopefully we'll see that happen. And I look forward to it. So VideoGamezYo, thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate you coming out and everything. Oh, of course. Anytime, for sure. Again, Off the Wall is sponsored by Console Gaming League and, of course, Elysian Esports. So thank you to them for sponsoring the show. We will be having more Mortal Kombat players on the show. I see Cyclone in the chat. I haven't forgotten about you. Trust me, Cyclone, I'll be looking out for you as well. So we'll have that coming up as well. So if you want to keep in touch with who's going to be on the show next, twitter.com/dazzle167, you can get all the info about who's going to be on the show next. So for sure, let me know if you're interested in having a guest on, or you say, hey, this guy's really cool. Let me know. Keep me up to date. Let me know. My DMs are open and I'll be happy to give it a shot for sure. So again, VideoGamezYo, thank you so much. We're going to be rating somebody from the community, and it looks like Kerbil's still online. So I'm going to go and invade him with a raid and see how we can do. So we're going to do that right now. Guys, thank you so much. See you guys later. Bye.
Thank you guys for watching.